Welcome to Stand Up, Sit Down. We're taking the week off, so instead of the usual funny and insightful interviews with a comic, we're going to show the best of season 1. I hope you enjoy it. We're comics. It's really hard to make us laugh. And if it's something that makes us laugh, no one else is going to laugh at. But that, as far as 90% of what I've seen on sitcoms, that was...
Yeah, it was, you know what I didn't like? Like, they didn't let me put any of my own jokes in there, you know? Like, when I first saw the script, you just want an Italian guy. They made me, what'd you do for a living? I go, I used to work on the docks and load trucks, and I was a truck driver. And they go, we're going to make you a telephone man. How about that? I'm like, I don't know nothing about, so they give you like these stupid jobs that you would never have or you could never adapt to. And it's like, I don't know. Those like Ray Romano, they let him be Ray Romano, They let Seinfeld be Seinfeld. Like, if they let you be who you are, the show will be a success. It was the same thing with Roseanne and, any other comic that they let you be who you are. Yeah, Tim Allen. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they let you be who you are, but I think they let me put one joke in that whole thing, one or two jokes in that whole half hour.
Which one was that? The funny one.
Yeah, exactly. The one they cut out.
So how did you survive the pandemic?
Pretty good. Well, I was home alone, so, it was kind of weird at first. All I did was sleep, eat, go in the yard, sleep, eat, go in the yard. It was like being in prison without the sex. Tip from your Uncle Aaron.
Stand-up is definitely a pure art form because you know exactly where you stand as soon as you say that joke. There is no reflective art in that. You say the joke, you know where you stand. So, yeah. It's definitely...
Yeah, it's not like a novel that you have to wait for the reviews.
Or you watch a painting and you just, people go to the art museum and they'll look at art and they'll just look at it, but you don't know if they like it or not. They're not clapping. They're not walking past clapping or booing art, right?
I think maybe good art you might get a few boos.
Yeah.
But no, I just mainly did the discos and strip joints. And did you ever do a strip joint? That's an experience there.
I've done. I did one. And it's I never wanna relive it.
I was in Atlanta, and they were totally nude, and they would have 2-for-1 dances, table dance. So they'd be like 25 girls completely naked, dancing all over the place. Then they'd stop the music. Okay, comedy time. Here's Larry Reeb. It's just like that. And you walk out, and people are screaming. And then that was in the early 80s. And I'd say hello, and they'd be, Yankee, Yankee.
I used to do a joke about this girl that and it was true. She was from Rhode Island, and she was stuck up. And she goes, I was voted one of the prettiest girls in Rhode Island. I'm like, that's the smallest state. Like, would you beat out like 9 people? It's like saying you're the smartest guy in Walmart. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, under 25 too. It's like 9 women under 25 in the entire state. Everyone else is an octogenarian. We're out here in the suburbs, not far from the suburb.
My suburban life is great. It's getting better now. I saw 4 black families in a grocery store the other day. I did. It was amazing. We just looked at each other and smiled. Because deep down, we knew that the store manager couldn't follow all of us. Who's with me?
I always thought that Larry the Cable Guy must have a really hard job because that's, for those of you who don't know, Larry the Cable, that's not really...
I think he stole my name. He was Dan Whitney, and he opened for me 3 or 4 times. And then next thing, he's Larry.
Huh.
Yeah.
Huh. I did not know that.
Send a check, Larry the Cable Guy. And then I'll pay Uncle Larry's estate.
I think the first year, I think I did it season 2, and I lost to a stripper, believe it or not. Like there was one slot left. And that's when like Kathleen Madigan got in and Tammy Pescatelli, like Todd Glass. And then, but the weird thing was, 2 of the guys that were in the audience booked the Tonight Show. So I ended up getting a Tonight Show out of that. Like I lost a stripper, and then but I ended up getting the Tonight Show.
Yeah, but did the stripper do the Tonight Show?
Exactly.
Huh?
Good point. That's right. Then the next year they go, oh, tell Rocky to come back. Like I know he got jammed last year. Like we'll give him another chance. And we were in Tempe, Arizona, and then there was a guy. I don't know if you remember this. He just came out in a like a gorilla suit, and he was eating a banana, and I lost to him. I'm like, oh, this is getting worse by the minute.
I generally will write something down in my phone, or if it's about the cadence of it, I'll record it. Mm-hmm. So if it's just like a premise or something I want to talk about, I'll write it down. But if I have like a funny line or something and I want it said a certain way, I'll say it in my phone and record it. So those are generally two. But I do carry, like, I still go to a coffee shop and I prefer pen and pad over a computer because I can retain easier when I write it down because you're writing the whole words down.
Right.
It's just easier for me to retain it when I write it down as opposed to typing it for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so I guess I use all of the above, but I don't actually carry like the old note. You know, I got like all of my notepads from years ago that I have. They all start out with jokes, but then they always end up with my gambling bets.
True.
Not one notepad that I have does not end at either my fantasy draft or who I'm drafting or money on games. So they always end up, they start out as joke notes, but then they turn out to be ledgers.
I was in Nashville Zanies. I was emceeing, and it was me and Ron Douglas and T.P. Maroney. And Ron Douglas was a big drinker and had a big problem.
Yeah.
And so they fired him Saturday night. And we thought he had a friend there. We thought he left with his friend because I'd been driving him. And he didn't. He stayed in the club, and he drank a whole bottle of vodka.
Oh, man.
And choked and died in the club. This gets funnier.
I hope so. We only got a couple minutes left.
We're staying in a condo. We were all in a comedy condo, me and TP. So me and TP are there. We were doing 2 weeks. The next week, Steve and Leo, the comedy team, were coming in.
Who, Stephen Leo, you might not know the name, but you know their Space Jam, I think, was their breakout.
And they wrote a Tim Allen movie, too.
Santa Claus.
Yeah, they were big. They became big writers. And so they were working. So they come in like Sunday, and me and TP are in the living room. They come in, and they're like, Leo's like, how was last week? I go, well, Douglas died. And he goes, yeah, how did you do?
That's so typical Hollywood, though. Like they go, oh, like you're Italian and you do this, and they go, yeah, and they go, okay, we want you to play a 4-foot guy on an acrobat. Like they totally, you know what I mean? Like they say, well, we love who you are, but we want you to do this, and it's like he was trying to teach me improv, and I go, I do an act, like I write jokes, you know?
Yeah.
He goes, well, we're not going to do that today. I'm like, well, all right.
It was Mitch Hedberg had a line about that. He said it's really weird. Is you work on your stand up, then you go to Hollywood and they say, "Can you act?" It's like saying, "Oh, you're a pretty good farmer. Can you cook?"
Yeah, exactly. That's Hollywood.
I got up at like 6 a.m, went to Starbucks, walked like a mile, got to Starbucks, and just put the pen to the pad and just started writing, rewriting, and then I was in Starbucks. And right in Minneapolis, downtown, and it was just a lot of chatter, and I saw people crying, and I was just not really paying attention. And then my phone started dinging, and then that's when Prince had died.
Yeah.
That Thursday morning. And I was right across the street from, the Starbucks is right across the street from First Avenue, where they filmed Purple Rain, and then that really inspired me, because he's like my all-time favorite. Like Prince was my all-time favorite. And then from there, I wrote a bit about love, which really was a huge part of my my album.
Oh, it's funny when I see, I didn't take a lot of grief because sometimes the headliner would come in and go on a mess with you. I don't know if you ever had that when they try to tell you what to do in this. So when John Fox, the first time he ever came in, I give him an intro, good intro, and then afterwards he's like, "You didn't say everything. You didn't do everything." Okay. So the next night, I go, okay, this next guy's very funny man from Los Angeles. He's appeared on Make Me Laugh, Dinah Shore, Merv Griffin, Mark Douglas, and a bunch of other shows that have all been canceled. Please welcome John Fox. And then after that, we became buddies.
And in that year, Les Moonves, who was the head of CBS at that time, I go, this script's horrible. I don't like this. And I didn't even want my name on the show. Like, I felt at that time, I go, if I'm going to sync, I want to sync with something that I think's funny, not what, so Hollywood thinks funny, because they go on to the next project and then your name's stuck on that stink, Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, and he goes, what's it going to take for you to do this? He goes, he told me that, he goes, this show's going to be on Monday night between Raymond and King of Queens. And I just thought it was crap. And the good thing about that year, the actors went on strike, so they just ran reruns. And then a few years later, I got another development deal, and then the writers went on strike. Like, what are the odds of that happening, So both times it was like...
And here you are, a union guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Welcome back to Stand Up, Sit Down. We're not here tonight. We're busy working on season 2. Instead, we've put together a bunch of clips of funny, insightful comedians from season 1. I hope you enjoy it. And if you do, come back next week for Tom Dreesen headlining season 2.
I made her drive me to one of those modeling talent agents when I was about 8. And she was really not happy about it, but I was very insistent. And I was at the pool, and I remember telling her, just pick me up at 4. We're going to go to this. I made an appointment for myself to meet with the modeling agent. And I got out of the pool, and I think I had a neon pink tank top. I just threw it over my bathing suit. My hair was a mess. And we showed up at the talent agency, and my mom was like, do you want me to come in? And I was like, yeah, come in with me. And I remember talking to the lady, and they gave me some paperwork to fill out, and I left, and I came back 2 weeks later. They called me, I think, and they said, we've been looking at your photos, and we want to sign you up. And I didn't bring any photos with me. They just wanted my money. They were taking everybody.
Yeah.
But I didn't know.
Fortunately, they just wanted your money.
Right.
Because some of those modeling agents want something else.
Exactly. Well, now I know. Now I know all about it. But at the time, I thought, I didn't bring you a headshot, and, you're trying to scam me. And that was my first industry interaction, I guess. And it was devastating. I was like, these people aren't telling the truth. These people just want my money.
Pete Rose comes in, and every other word, he is F-bombing everything. Everything. I was out at this bleeping this and that. Okay.
Should have saved this for the extra segment.
Oh, probably. But it's so there's this little kid in the front row. And the crowd is going ballistic. They're laughing so hard. And Pete goes, well, there's no kids here. And I looked at him and I go, you missed one. And he goes, I thought he was a bleeping midget.
So you worked at Zanies. You were a regular at Zanies.
Yes, but not like you, Tim. I don't know if the audience understands that you and Larry and a select few, even and Anthony Griffith, where Zanies acts where they were... You're not allowed to work anywhere else because they coveted you guys that much that they didn't want any of the other clubs to have you. And I was not one of those guys, but you were, Tim. And did you notice that every time you worked with me, you came out and you had a flat tire? That was envy, not a slow leak.
So I'll flip this to you. So you've been in my club. How is the experience for you?
It's fantastic. It's it's stripped down. There's no amenities, unnecessary amenities there. It's everything that has to be in a club is there. The lighting's perfect. The sound is awesome. I mean, you're right there. You're right there with the cues to bring people up and down and like the show. And it's everything necessary for a good comedy show exists in that room. You've got a lower ceiling, so the lavs stay in there. What do you seat?
We seat 90 inside there, and it's just funny. Like I like hearing your guys' side of it. The comics, because a lot of comics always want to record a set there because they say that the acoustics are amazing. You know, the room is very intimate. You know, the audience is like engaged, and that was my top priority when running a club. Is how I wanted to do it from when I started, where it wasn't. You know, bigger is not always better.
Oh, no.
You know, to me, it's like when you can see the expressions of a comedian's face, you can see an eye movement or just a head nod, you know, and you can be a part of that moment. It really brings you into that stand-up, and it really makes you part of the performance.
How was Alaska?
Well, I met a man in the parking lot, and he had birds. Him and his girlfriend had birds, and they came to my show, and it was a little weird, but he took me out to see a glacier. And I put him on Instagram in case he murdered me while we were out there. So it was a quick, weird 24 hours. Yeah.
What kind of birds? Was it like exotic or parrots or?
Like parakeet type things.
Like little birds or?
Yeah. I feel like people that have birds are kind of makes me nervous. That was the most scariest part about the whole thing. And
did you meet the birds? Did he take you to his house to meet the birds?
I did go up to his apartment with his girlfriend and then immediately regretted it. As soon as the door closed, I thought, oh, what am I doing? This is how people get trafficked.
In those days, you had a limousine taking you to all of your promotional appointments. You had a real dressing room. You had people chauffeuring you everywhere for anything you needed to do. And I'll tell you a great story. So they would feed you whatever you wanted. And so every night at Playboy, I'm having crab and lobster. And the room manager comes up and he goes, I don't even try the lobster. And I go, you should. It's delicious. And that didn't go over well.
So she... I remember when my daughter was about to be born, right before that, for my birthday, she got me a subscription to the USA Today. And that was like the Bible for me, you know, when it came to being able to get a source reference and things of that sort. And so I would just read that paper every day. I would pick out whatever is the most fertile topics that I could write about, and I would just write all day long. And I remember... that my daughter was an infant, and I would be sitting at my desk writing at my computer, and then with my left foot, I would be rocking her as I wrote. Now that's discipline.
And multitasking.
Yeah. Maybe not so great of a father, but as a comedian and a writer, some discipline.
And that was my fear, is like, you know, getting 90 people to come. It's like I told you, it's like owning a comedy club is like having a birthday party every weekend and hoping somebody shows up to your party. That's how it feels. Like I'm sending out invites every week and I'm like, please come to my party. I only need 40.
I'll have cake.
Yes. But, you know, to me, it's like I just want the room full because we do a really good job there of producing great comedy shows. From the headliner to the feature to the MC. It's from the beginning of the show, the integrity of the room and the integrity of the shows that I run is I want to give a great show all the way around. And I try my best to make sure that happens.
Here's a little bit of excitement. You have just released your new video or DVD. What do we call it? I have no idea.
I don't know. I would love to get it on
special?
DVD. That'd be
special.
Cool. It's a set that I recorded in 2016, and it's an hour long. It's I don't know if you want to peek behind the curtain. It was recorded on these cameras, which is crazy. I just found that out. We've only got 3 cameras in Chicago, and it's these ones.
We're at Boston Playboy, and they had you do 5 shows a night. So downstairs, upstairs, downstairs, upstairs, downstairs. And they were 20-minute sets. So by the end of the night, you were tired. We had a bad night. I mean, this is real bad, okay? At the end of the night, this woman comes out of the club with her daughter, and she goes, "That singer was great, but those comics were awful." And her daughter goes, "Mom, that's them down there." And you think she would have pulled back? She goes, "I don't care. They were terrible."
It's weird when you're doing comedy. I mean, maybe it wasn't the same for you. I mean, you went pro within 5 months. But there's always this animosity that exists, that the comics are always talking trash about club owners, and then club owners are always talking trash about comics. And now you've seen both sides of it.
Yes.
It's probably stuff that irritated you as a comic. You understand why you were irritating comics as a booker.
Yes. I do. And that's like, I take things personally because I see it from both sides. You know, I get it from a comics point of view, been there. I've done, bar gigs and ran bar gigs. And now as a club owner, I'm like, why are you doing a bar gig when you can do it in a comedy club? It's like, so I get both sides of it. But again, it's like, I see, like I said, it's all about the integrity. I see so many open mics at bars that get canceled on a whim because, another party came in. So that lets me know that they don't respect the comedy, that they'll cut an open mic to have a party come through, where I'm always going to have a room open, and I consider my club a comedy club. I hate turning people away at open mics. But then again, I don't want to run 75 people on it. I think a 7-hour show is way too long.
It's not a 7-hour show. It's a 7-hour open mic.
Yes, exactly.
It's much different than a show.
When you tell them you're a comedian and they're like, "Are you funny?" They always say that. Well, I was in Oklahoma City and I'm standing by the ticket and they're like, "Who's the headliner?" And they point to me. So this lady comes, "Are you funny?" So I would always just go, "No, I'm horrible. I suck. I can't believe people book me. I'm terrible." She goes to her husband and goes, "He says he's not very funny. I don't think we should stay." And they laugh. And I'm like, good. That was sarcasm.
That's all for tonight on Stand Up, Sit Down. That's our best of season 1 clip show. If you enjoyed it, you're definitely going to want to check out season 2, starting next week, same time, same channel. Our special guest will be Mr. Tom Dreesen. Also, we'll have interviews with Patty Vasquez, Jim Flanagan, a whole lot of other comedians. Please come back next week. Good night, everybody.